What's going on, restaurant friends? I've got a special conversation with you all today with Doug Maxon, better known as the Digital Chef. You can find him all across social media. He's a former restaurant owner, and now he's really, on his passion of working with restaurants with marketing. He does lots of really cool things, and he's really become an expert. And Doug, excited to have you on the show today. Tell us, what is the biggest challenge? You're a former restaurant owner now working with marketing.
Sure.
What are challenges you're seeing restaurants face today?
Oh man, Court, thank you. I don't know if expert is the word because I think in today's world, I just don't know if an expert can be qualified quite yet with the way technology is being thrown at us, right? Um, and I think to answer that question, I think it goes back to my restaurant days, to be honest with you. I kind of tell everybody that I was what I consider an accidental restaurant owner, where we had a food truck and we started doing the food truck thing, and then next thing you know we had a full-blown takeout counter and catering and food truck, and it was just all these moving parts. And then it was, through the pandemic, things kind of went haywire for restaurants. And I think it made me kind of take a step back from what I was doing on the operational side of a restaurant because, in addition to what the pandemic brought out, I just feel like there was a technological revolution that was already headed this way. And I think that the COVID, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it or refer to it as, I think it caught the restaurant industry by surprise, and it put us as restaurant and food truck owners in the position to adopt a lot of technology that I just don't think we were ready for. And right around 2021, the year after, things were kind of getting, I guess we could say, quote unquote, back to normal. I took that step back and I looked, and I kind of just looked what was going on around us in the independent restaurant world, not so much from a restaurant standpoint, but from a consumer standpoint, and what was making things easier for consumers. What were we adopting as far as online ordering, as far as takeout? I was very anti third party delivery. I thought it was absurd that third party delivery was coming in and people were paying 20, $30 for a meal they could walk right into my restaurant and get for 15, 16, $17. And it just made me realize that as a society, as a consumer-based society, we are willing to pay more for convenience. And from my perspective, I think that everything that we're seeing right now plays into that. And I think it's just very hard for restaurant owners to be able to step back from the daily grind and look at it from a different perspective. I think that going back to, I'll go back to the 1980s where we used to have to get, the mail order stuff in the mail, and we all had that drawer with 80 different menus in it, and I'm sorry, restaurants would mail that to us, right? And then restaurants were always really big in billboards. Restaurants were always really big in um, radio advertisements. There were all these things that restaurants had at their fingertips. Bigger restaurants, bigger chains, they did commercials, yeah, but that wasn't really big for small independent restaurants. We did direct mail, we did billboards, and we did radio advertisements. And if you put that into perspective, everything that we did for restaurant marketing for decades was completely hands off to restaurant owners. There was really no need for me to have to dive in to really see how can I place my restaurant in a better word of mouth situation, because I could pay these other places that, and it worked. That's where the attention of the consumer was. As attention of the consumer shifted into the online space, it's just been very hard for restaurant owners to keep up with that mindset shift, in my opinion. I think it's very hard for us as owners to sit back and look at it. And now, with the daily hustle and daily grind, I'm kind of obligated to get in and look at something from a different perspective now. And I think it's hard for restaurant owners and food truck owners to adapt to that mindset.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, this is where people's attention is. Like, we're walking around looking at this all day, but also, I mean, this is a TV studio. And all those
Yeah.
things you describe of like billboard, newspaper, mailers, I mean, you can do this with this and send it to people's this,
hmm
right? And so, how do you do that? What are you telling restaurants to do?
So, and that you just nailed it on the head, because it's not a matter of that, billboards and all that stuff doesn't work. It did work. It works great. It probably still works in a lot of areas, but it's all about where consumers are placing their attention. And you nailed it, that that is exactly where consumers' attention is, on that phone. So the biggest thing that I feel right now restaurant owners can do is just learn. You don't have to jump in. If you try to take on, we see it all the time. We see restaurant owners that are just overwhelmed with the, like I said it before, the daily hustle, because we've kind of memorialized the hustle in the restaurant industry, so to say, right? If you're not grinding, you're not working.
Yep.
And the best thing that restaurant owners can do right now, hands down, is just take a step back. Don't worry about implementing a million different things. Don't even worry about implementing one thing if it's too much right now. But take a step back and just spend an hour a day, an hour a week even, learning about technology and AI. Technology and AI is not just me producing some weird video of my hamburger with the guy holding it that has six fingers, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's so much more beyond that that can take so much off of your plate, and all those things that we've been spending money on that I just described earlier, the billboards and the radio advertisements and this, that, and the other, you can now do for next to nothing
Mm.
if you learn how to automate those things on the back end. So I really think just learning about AI and technology, regardless of whether you implement it into your restaurant or not, this is going to become a very big part of your life in the future.
Yeah. So what are those things you're telling restaurants to do? If I'm a restaurant owner, what should I be paying attention to right now?
So I break it down when I talk to restaurants and food trucks. I try to simplify it as much as possible. And I tell them, let's break it down to the ABCs. Let's break it down. Let's cut out the noise, because your your social media is now interest based. So if you look at one video about restaurant marketing, you're now getting 60 different angles of how to do it. So just break it down to the ABCs. What do we have to do to have a successful restaurant? We need to acquire social trust. We need that word of mouth. We need people to hear about us and trust that they're going to have a good experience. The number one way to do that right now is with Google reviews, Facebook reviews, things of that nature. So we use AI and automation to automate the ask for a Google review. We use automation to follow up to the Google review. If it's not a good review, we use AI to identify that and send a message directly to the owner or whoever is responsible for handling that. The next thing that we tell restaurant owners is you have to build your brand identity. In 2025, almost 2026 now, everything is about brand. When we come out with all of this technology that's getting ready to hit us, there's a big difference between me sitting home at night and saying, hey, and I'll use Alexa as an example, but hey, Alexa, order me a pizza, or hey, Alexa, order me a pizza from Court's Pizzeria, right? If you can get your brand identification, brand identity out there strong, and the number one way to do that is with a good social media plan. Your calendar that you put out for people is one of the best one that I've seen out there, that you've actually taken the time to break it down day by day. And I'll be honest with you, I've thought at times like maybe I should do one of those content calendars. And it's like, no, just send people to Court's content calendar. He's already doing this. He's got like this, like follow a strategy, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? If you can follow a strategy to specifically build your brand with social media, that's where you need to be paying attention. And the last thing for the C's is just customer acquisition and retention. Start learning what it takes to get a new customer in the door, right? When I get that new customer in the door, what does it take for me to get them to come back, and how can I maintain their attention on my restaurant? And when you can combine those three things, however you do it, whether you do it because you're walking around and doing very involved. I've got restaurants up here that are so involved in the community, they don't do a lick on social media themselves, but they are so involved with everything that goes on in the community, through the Chamber of Commerce, through community events, through fundraisers, through everything that happens in the local area. They don't have to do anything because everybody in the local area talks about them anytime somebody asks about a restaurant. So there are ways to do all of that without putting yourself on camera as well. And for us, it's those ABCs: acquire social trust, build brand identity, learn customer acquisition and retention in the world of technology.
I mean, yeah, AI is everywhere. Chat GPTs, everything we're talking about. And it's almost it makes it too easy to do stuff because sometimes you just say like make me a graphic and it'll just put out what I call slop, AI slop. You mentioned
Sure.
like six fingers and everything, but there's so many ways it can be beneficial. What are those ways that you're telling owners they can use it, particularly when it comes to marketing?
Yeah, sure. And I think that's a huge thing that all restaurant owners, business owners in general, just need to understand is that we are now tasked with critical thinking up front. We are not going to just ask it a question and get the, Encyclopedia Britannica answer all in one big, huge thing, gift wrapped and handed to us. You have to treat AI as though it's a collaborator. Sit there and ask it the questions that you would ask. If you had Court Alum sitting across from you at the table and you could ask him anything that you wanted for restaurant marketing before you put out this social media post, that's what you should be asking ChatGPT because you can turn ChatGPT into Court Alum or Doug Maxon or who insert any other person here that you want that type of mindset that you like. And once you can train your AI to do that, you can kind of take a step back and you can use the quick, hey, I need an email that goes out this afternoon at 3 o'clock. What can I put? You can get to that, but it takes
Mhm.
that critical thinking and designing up front. And I feel like too many restaurant owners, I talk to them and they just say, well, I tried that for a couple weeks, it didn't work. We give up too quick. We give up way too quick on the AI stuff, I think.
Yeah. And, prompt engineering is something
Sure.
that, people talk about. Can you give an example of like how how let's say I start a new chat,
Mhm.
and let's say, what would be an example of a prompt that you would do to like get that started?
So I look at it from a who, what, where, when, why, and how. This is who I want you to be. This is what I need you to do for me. This is why I'm doing this. And this is where I'm going to put whatever you give me back out to, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or an email or an SMS. You give it the who, what, where, when, why. It's going to do the how and spit it back to you, right? And then the number one thing that I use to my advantage to learn prompt engineering is anytime that I submit something to ChatGPT, I always say at the very end, do you have any questions before you produce this? So I give it the who, what, where, when, why. They're going to tell me how to do it. And then I always say, do you have any questions before we generate this? And if AI is not ready to give you the absolute best output, it's going to turn around and say, well, give me this, give me A, B, and C before I proceed. You answer A, you answer B, you answer C, and then boom, it's going to give it out. And if you ask, do you have any more questions? And it does, it'll ask you more questions. But if
Mhm.
you don't ask it to deep think for you and be the critical thinker that it's capable of being, it's just going to spit out the answer,
Mhm.
right? And I think that that is the best absolute way, no matter what your topic is, give it those things, ask it if it has any questions. And over time of doing that, you're already going to know in your prompt what it's going to kick back as a question it needs. So you can start manipulating your prompt a little bit and just adding those things into your prompt the next time you do it. And it'll become like it's like anything else. It'll be just like working the griddle, you know? It'll be like clockwork. Build it just like a hamburger without even realizing you did it.
Yeah. I love that. How many times would you say you so it gives you something and then like revise it like, hey, no, and it like is it just once and done, or how many times do you normally do it?
As far as revisions, if I don't like the way something is worded or written, I will
Mhm.
ask it to revise it. I've had it go off on little things, and I'd say no. Remember, yeah, you have to kind of tell it just like it's an
Yep.
employee. Like
Yep.
it'll work great for you for a week, and then all of a sudden it spits out a slop, and I will literally tell it, hey, go back to what we talked about last week, and just
Yep.
remember that our concept is that we're trying to tell restaurant owners they need to learn this stuff as well, and it will turn around and, oh yeah, I forgot about that part. I apologize, and it spits it back out. It's literally an employee.
Yeah.
I've actually sat here at my computer working on websites for restaurants and online ordering things for restaurants. And if I get stuck in something, the way something should flow, I've got my microphone sitting here. I just turn on the voice chat with Chat GPT and I just tell it, hey, this is what I'm working on. I need help. This is the way I'm wording it, but I think I can word it better. What can I do? And as I'm working, it will just communicate with me. So it's like having that professional expert at your fingertips at all times, as long as you know how to ask it those questions.
Love it. What's a cool AI tool beyond ChatGPT that
Oh,
you're
beyond
using right now or that
ChatGPT.
restaurants could use right now?
So one that I really picked up on, I haven't dove into it yet, but there's something with it's called like and I gosh, I'm gonna butcher this Vibe. It's like a Vibe app type thing where you can
Okay.
basically just put in what you want for a calculator and it just spits it out. Like it just builds a micro app for you,
Hmm.
like right there. They're calling it micro-SaaS is what they're calling it.
Okay.
Um, those are super cool. For me, and that's just kind of I've just kind of started learning those things. So I'm kind of starting to play with it a little bit. I think one of the biggest things from a restaurant perspective is Gemini. Google Gemini with I think they call it the Nano Banana that
Yeah.
they come out with. The images are coming out really well. Um, Sora is putting together like great B-roll for videos. You can go on Sora and just kind of tell it, hey, I want a video, text to video, right? Uh, Number one for restaurants. I don't even know how I skipped this one. Number one for restaurants that I'm using right now is HeyGen, without a doubt. If you follow my content, the majority of videos that I'm putting out are not even me. It looks like me, it sounds like
Mhm.
me, but you'll notice much difference from a HeyGen video that I put out of Doug Maxon talking versus a video of, me actually talking conversational tone. It's night and day difference, and I understand that. But the capability that I have as somebody who does a lot of work on the road and traveling is I now have like 30 or 40 AI avatars of myself sitting in my office with my backdrop, with this, with that. And if I need a quick little video to get out, I can just boom, text what I need it to put out. It creates the video. I put it on my social media channels. I think HeyGen is an insanely underused capability for a lot of restaurants. It'll cut down a lot of that um, need to have to set up my camera and set up my I need to get lighting and I got to make sure my microphone's correct. No, you do this one time and now you've got that you talking with that backdrop. Maybe do 6 or 7 different angles so you have a different shirt on each time. And then if you need to get something out quick to your people, just run it through HeyGen, put the video out.
HeyGen, like HeyGen.
Yep. Yep. I believe
Okay.
it's .ai, HeyGen.ai.
Love it. I'm gonna check that out. Just wrote it down.
Yeah,
So
definitely do. Definitely do. If you just it's tremendous capabilities and it's getting better and better by the day.
awesome, awesome. Doug, you're the digital chef online. People can find you there, but let us know how can people find you and what's it like to work with you together?
Yeah, sure. I definitely appreciate that. So obviously, the Digital Chef across all platforms. I think on Instagram, just Digital Chef Official. Other than that, we can be emailed at doug.maxon@whitebusmedia.com or creatives@whitebusmedia.com, and you'll get to our creative director. Uh, and to work with us, we have a very, very, very um, one-on-one type policy, I guess is the best way to put it. Like we don't just work with anybody. We have that option. Like we kind of positioned ourselves of having a wide array of services. So we have services where you can come in and we're going to give you software that's going to automate your review platform system. We're going to automate your social media um, scheduling, and we're going to automate getting your customers to come back through email and SMS. We can give you that platform, and then you can come into our community and you can learn it as you go, or we will come in one on one and we will work with you. And we've just started a new thing this summer, actually, where we're going to start building the mindset of I no longer think that restaurants should technically hire out to an outside marketing agency during this window, right? And the reason I say that is because if you're not taking the time to learn it as you go, you're setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure, but you're setting yourself up for setbacks, right? Failure is a strong word. You're setting yourself up for setbacks because if you're not learning it and how you can implement it with your brand, there's so many different ideas and things that can come about that it's just going to cause confusion. And then you start paying somebody to do something and you don't know what's going on. So we want to come into your restaurant. We want to work with you one on one. We want to set this system up with you for a minimum of 30, 60, 90 days, however long you want us in the mix to ensure that everything is running flawlessly, everything is running the way it should run. And on top of that, you own the system. We don't want to build this system that now you are tied 110% to us as a marketer simply because there's sometimes that doesn't work out. There's simply sometimes that you can't afford it. You know, if you get to the point where you can handle it on your own, dude, handle it on your own. We want to come in and help you build these systems so that you can own your marketing channels. And we talked about this the last time we talked. Um, Learning to get your customers off of just social media so that when Facebook goes down for the afternoon, you own something that nobody else has control over, that you can still run your business and reach the people that you need to reach.
Yeah, love it. Doug, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. Everyone, go check out The Digital Chef. Doug does great stuff on social media. You'll learn lots of things. So, everybody, thanks for checking this out today. Doug, thank you so much. We'll talk to y'all soon.